We're talking about the House fraud report that came out just this afternoon. They claim it is a bombshell report that exposes the incompetence of the Democrats in the state of Minnesota. I say there's no bombshell. We know. We knew. We've been talking about it for 2 years. Texter says, Jason, in the federal level, Trump and the Republicans have done poorly, and they'll very likely get beaten in the midterms. Here in Minnesota, the Democrats and Walz have done poorly, and the Democrats will probably win the governor and Senate elections again, said John. I think John is right. I think that says more about the incompetence of Republicans in the state and putting forward candidates who have the ability to beat the Democrats. You got to run a good campaign. You have to be a good candidate, because you can be frustrated with the people in power, but if the other choice, I mean, it's a sort of a binary situation for most people when they vote. So that's part of the deal. Let's go to Steve in Scandia at 651-461-9226. Steve, do you think Republicans are overplaying their hand on the fraud thing?
Absolutely not. I'm certain you're familiar with the P.T. Barnum quote, "There's no such thing as bad press."
Yes.
As long as the Republicans can get this as the first segment of the most listened to drive time show in the afternoon on Twin Cities Radio, they're not overplaying their hand. This will also be the first story on tonight's WCCO News, KSTP, and KMSP. And so, no, they are absolutely playing this, and, no offense, the media like fiddles. There is no news here that's being reported, but it's being reported as if there is.
No, you're right.
They're playing it well.
If you look, that's a very astute comment, Steve, because if you look at Google right now and you just type in Minnesota fraud, the top stories, the Star Tribune headline, "What to Know About the House's Latest Report." That's pretty good. That's not a loaded headline by the Strib. But KARE 11, House Oversight Committee cites stunning failures in its report on fraud in Minnesota. National Review, Minnesota officials ignored warnings of rampant welfare fraud. So, I mean, the headlines. Now, WCCO TV says House report says officials ignored fraud warning. Walz's office calls Oversight Committee a joke. But then you get the political framing that I worry about, because I do think every Minnesotan, Democrat or Republican, hates fraud. I think maybe there's different motivations as to why people are mad about this particular fraud. But I think if we don't trust that our taxpayer dollars are going to where we think it's going, well, it undermines the whole system. You're like, well, why should I even pay my taxes if you guys aren't going to take care of my money?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, our elected representatives are there to be good stewards of the public funds, and this administration was not.
No doubt.
Acting in that capacity. And I voted for that man twice and was prepared to do it a third time before this scandal broke. But yes, it continues now at this point. They are looking for tertiary damage to other candidates, like you mentioned, Keith Ellison. If they can eliminate or end the career of a sitting governor and someone who has other further political statewide ambitions, like Keith Ellison, by linking him in as part of the problem.
Yeah.
They're playing this thing perfectly.
Thanks, Steve.
That's too bad.
Dan and Hopkins, you're up on CCO. Do you think?
Hi, Jason.
Go ahead, Dan.
No, I guess you maybe alluded to or said something about perhaps the problem with the candidate. We're not putting up good candidate. Can you explicitly or tell me specifically what you mean?
Yeah.
What's wrong with, for example, Kendall Qualls? I mean, I don't know. I think he's a good
we don't
man.
know,
Know
right?
what the problem is.
No, fair point. Like this year's slate, we don't know if they'll be good or not, or if they'll be able to sort of make the case. I think a lot of this about fraud was known and reported on. We talked about it in the last election. I remember doing a segment on saying, is this the kind of thing that should disqualify Tim Walz? And
But don't you?
But part of the problem, I think, was, the Scott Jensen, Matt Burke ticket was just got distracted by too many other things, and they weren't able to close the deal. It's tough in this state. There are more Democrats than Republicans in Minnesota, I think. So you have to run
Yeah.
a really, really, really good campaign to get that win.
Which means what exactly? You want to just basically you want to surrender your virtue and your values of small government, efficient government, maximum freedom to the residents of the citizens of the state. I guess I don't know what it is that the Democrats have ever been able to offer.
Well, why do
Republicans?
so? Why do you
I
think?
don't understand.
Why do you think the Republicans haven't been able to close the deal? Why is it that Tim Pawlenty is the last Republican to win a statewide race?
And you're not going to like this answer, but I think there has been significant voter fraud in the large metropolitan centers, multiple ballots, illegals voting, dead people voting.
Which race? But which race do you think that? If we accept that is true, which race do you think that made a difference?
I believe even in the Jeff Johnson against Tim Walz the first time that was the case, and every election afterwards, as long as Democrats are running everything, they, they're I don't know what you call the lever under the gambling table. They're fudging numbers and they're changing
Jeff
votes.
Johnson,
that's my belief.
Yeah, Jeff Johnson lost by 300,000 votes. It was a 10 plus percentage point difference. There is no way.
Okay,
there's no way.
I get it.
Right? There's
Well,
just no
what
way.
about 100? Was there 109% voter turnout in some precincts in Minneapolis?
No, I don't think that's right.
I think there was.
No.
It was extraordinarily high voter turnout with a historical 35% voter turnout historically.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they're using, and that's why they're scamming votes.
I'll give you 10,000 votes, Dan. There's 10,000 votes. The Republicans
It's not going to be enough. I get it.
That's the problem. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Ralph in Minnetrista, running out of time, but I want to give you a shot. Thanks for calling, Ralph. Go ahead.
Well, I think this is a double-edged sword. Not only did we not put systems in place to monitor all this money, we had 6 or 7 whistleblowers who called in before the big discovery, and the malfeasance there is that they didn't even bother to call these people to get the details. So you don't have a system in place to monitor the program to begin with, and then when you do get a break and people who are conscientious working in the system call you and give you heads up, you don't even bother to call them back.
Yeah.
That's the bad part.
Thanks, Ralph. And at a certain point, you've got to look at that and say, okay, can we stop with the blue panel investigations and start fixing some of this stuff that we already know, that we have House investigations. We have plenty of reporting out there on all this stuff. This from the House today is just grandstanding, and it's trying to take down and make this issue that shouldn't be political. Nobody wants fraud. But by turning it into politics, I worry that you're giving permission to tune it out.